Hello guys, thank you very much for joining in. Hi, this is Ganesh Nayak. I help finance professionals and students to excel in their career and become a better version of themselves. And today I'm back with one of my video in which I'm going to be talking to one of my students who has cleared the FRM Level 1 exam. And he's going to share with us his experience, his journey of clearing the exam and what has been challenges that he has faced. So today we have with us Abhishek. Hi Abhishek, how are you doing?
Hi Ganesh, I'm good. How are you guys?
Great. So Abhishek has been able to clear the exam in May 2021. He gave the exam from Singapore, and the major discussion that we're going to be having today is to understand what has been his journey of preparation. So Abhishek, first question for the benefit of the audience: that when you started your preparation, what was your status? I mean, what was your work profile, and how many years of experience that you had?
Okay, so let me start giving a brief about my
Mhm.
professional background. So I was working in a financial firm in Singapore, working for a bank, and I was into the regulatory reporting domain. So I was there for almost 6 months, and recently I relocated to London to join another financial firm. So overall, in total, I would say I've had 10 years of financial sector work ex,
Okay.
mostly in the regulatory reporting domain.
Okay, great. So
Yeah.
when did you decided to start that thing that okay, I want to do FRM, and any particular reason that you wanted to go towards FRM?
Yeah, so actually, I mean, I decided about FRM long back when I was doing my MBA studies.
Okay.
But at that time, I couldn't get time during the placement season. And then I joined Deutsche Bank, Nomura, and for last 10 years, it's just been flat out working on the regular BAU stuff. So I
Mm-hmm.
was just not getting time to do that. But then in March 20, when the lockdown, because of the COVID started and
Right.
everybody started working from home, I realized that I might have enough time to prepare for it. And that's when I thought, let's go for it. Now, why I went for FRM exam is because first thing, I felt that FRM was more closer to the risk concepts
Mm-hmm.
and that was more aligned to my work profile, which is
Right.
mostly on the regulatory risk. So I was anyways doing the market risk, credit risk, operational risk, those kind of things. So it was more aligned to my what do you say, work schedule or work profile.
Mm-hmm.
Another option that I was thinking of was CFA, but then I realized that between FRM and CFA,
Mm.
there was a lot more time investment required in
Right.
CFA rather than FR. And me being a math student, my bachelor's was was in engineering, so I've
Mm-hmm.
always been a math student. So I thought maybe let's go for
FRM.
FRM first. Yeah, it's more quant focused,
Mm-hmm.
so could be easier for me to clear it,
Okay.
and plus it requires lesser time than
Okay.
lesser time investment than CFA. So that
Okay.
was my thought process initially.
Okay. And when did you join us? When did you started preparation with me?
Yeah, so I joined you at the very last minute, I think. So my exam was in May 21,
Uh-huh.
and till January and February, I was thinking, how do I start my preparation? I was, doing all my Google search around what's the best way to start, what's the schedule that I need to follow. And at that time, one of my friend who was doing some of the CFA lectures in Mumbai, he recommended me that I join Fintelligence, and at least I'll have a
Mm-hmm.
I'll have a guide, or I'll have a roadmap to how you want to start your studies. I will
Okay.
have access to the materials. I will have access to the notes, practice papers. So that's when I thought, okay, let's go for a proper planned study, and
Mm-hmm.
that's when I reached out to you somewhere in end of February, and then I
Right.
enrolled somewhere on 28th or 27th of February.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
For the
just
video
two and
for
a
the
half months
video
before.
lectures, yes, 2.5 months.
Yes.
And if so, how did you start your preparation? I mean, in the sense, see, I know because I was guiding you, but I want to hear from you what has been your experience from the entire
Yeah.
from 27th of Feb onwards, how you were doing it.
Yeah, so I think given that I had very less time to prepare for the exam, um, during our initial conversation, if you remember, I told you that I may not be able to cover the 100% of the syllabus.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start focusing on the critical stuff, which you
Right.
think would cover the 80% of the exam syllabus, and that's where it helped me, because then you started listing out all those important chapters that I should be
Hmm.
completing first. And then, the stuff which may not be very important from an exam point of view,
Hmm.
that can be taken up later. So if I remember correctly, at the start of March, you said, okay, Abhishek, go and finish your financial markets and products first, right? That's one batch.
Hmm.
Then the second step was finish your CAPM, APT theory, right? And then you move on to your bond valuations.
Right.
So when I was going through this journey, I realized that I was covering the critical chapters first,
Hmm.
along with the question banks. And that gave me enough confidence that, okay, I'm not missing out on something. And because I had the regulatory work, the theoretical chapters, I knew that I could
Right.
at least, make up something. It's not like I'm going there with a
Right.
blank mind. I can always come up with the sensible answers on the theory part. But numericals and the critical stuff is something which you lined up very nicely in
Okay.
the initial 1.5 months.
Right. Right. And what was your time dedication from March on a daily basis?
Okay, so time was a critical factor. My job uh, didn't allow me to spend 5, 6 hours in a day.
Hmm.
It started from 9 a.m. and used to go till 8 p.m., 9 p.m. in the day. So what I did, I had to take out some time to go through your videos and question banks. So what I started doing is I started to commit at least 3 to 4 hours in a day. So maybe I will get up around 7 a.m. in the morning, go through your videos, some of the specific chapter videos in the
Right.
morning. Then during the lunchtime, I will solve the question bank. And then by the end of the day, in the
Hmm.
night before I go to bed, I used to, go through one more chapter video and solve a question bank. So that's how I used to do it in the weekdays. And
Hmm.
then during the weekends, I can afford to spend like 7, 8 hours at a stretch and
Right.
and cover more stuff. Uh, that's the best I could do along with my
Okay.
work schedule. Um,
Okay. Okay.
yeah, somehow
The,
we managed.
the reason I asked you this specific question because a lot of working professionals they feel that it's quite normal for them to not being able to dedicate more hours, but they feel that they cannot clear the exam because they don't have time primarily. So this reason was asking was to that if we strategically manage our time properly and we have the dedication, then definitely in the next 2 months also we can clear the exam. Now in terms of question bank, okay, roughly how many chapters on an average you were able to go through properly before you went for the exam out of total 60? How many do you think?
Okay. I would say most of the numerical based chapters
Hmm.
I went through properly. So, for example, everything in the financial markets and products book I went through properly.
Hmm.
Um, the foundation book, I would say maybe 60% because most of it was theory based.
Hmm.
So I didn't spend too much time on the question banks for that book. Valuations, bond valuations, and your black scholes, all those binomial theorems, those kind of things, I went through completely along with question
Question
banks.
bank. Okay.
Similarly, the quants book. Yeah, similarly, the quants book, the probability and all the regression statistics, that particular book I have completely went through end to end. So
Okay.
except the theory, the first book, the foundation, the fundamental book, the rest three, I would say I was able to complete each of the chapters. Now,
Properly.
obviously, in between, you would have some very theory related chapters
Got
which
it.
I didn't bother because of the lack of time.
Hmm.
But I I made it a point that at least whatever theory or whatever numerical related chapters that you have in the syllabus, I should
Hmm.
get that done end to end. So
Right.
that's how I went ahead with that.
So, in terms of the exam, okay, so how many days before the exam you said that, okay, okay, now I'm done with one reading and now I want to go towards, say, mock papers or some other quiz? What was that
Yeah.
time?
So I mean, my story is very funny. I think if when you talk about first reading being completed, I don't think it's still complete yet. So it's still going on. So if you remember, my exam was scheduled for 24th of May, and I had planned it in such a way that by end of April I should get one reading done, and then I will have maybe 15 to 20 days, and in between there was a month end or quarter end in my bank, so I might not get the full time, but I will have 10 days where I had applied for a leave, and I would go for practice test, sample question papers, one full revision, and by the 23rd of May I should be ready to sit for the exam on 24th of May. And what happened, unfortunately, I got a mail on 28th of April that your center is not available. Yeah, your center is not available for 24th of May. So you have to pick another date. And the next available date was 14th of May. So my exam got preponed by 10 days.
10 days.
And that actually had set up a, went me into a panic mode, because I realized that now I cannot do question papers. Now I cannot do mock test. The best I can do is whatever question banks, chapter wise question banks that I have done. Let's revise that. Let's revise the theory part or the Schweizer notes, all the highlighted part that you have shown during your videos. Let's do that. And unfortunately, before going into exams, I just couldn't do any of the mock tests or any of the question papers. It was all, I was completely relying on the question banks, chapter wise question banks that I had done. And while doing that, I had that sense of confidence because my accuracy level was pretty okay, 60 to 70%, 75% in most of the chapters. So I thought, okay, I've done that thoroughly. It's just that I never got that experience of doing the full 100 questions before the exams.
Yes.
Yeah, in one sitting.
Okay. And how much comfort you had on the calculator before you went for the exam?
Okay, I think during your bond valuations chapter, I realized that that basically covered a lot of calculator concepts, and it made me a lot more confident compared to what I was before joining your video lectures and sessions. It gave me a lot of confidence on the computer, on the calculator stuff, and especially on the bond valuations and all the complex calculations. Yeah, I think I was fairly confident. I wouldn't say that I mastered it, but I would say I was 70% there with the calculator concepts.
Okay. Yeah. Now, when you realize that on 28th of April that your exam is getting preponed, was there a change in strategy that in terms of number of hours, were you able to dedicate more number of hours after that to cover up for the 10 days that you missed out?
So what I did was I had applied for a leave in my office starting from 10th of May to 24th of May. So first thing I had to do was prepone that leave from 2nd of May to 10th of May. And that was kind of like the critical period in my bank. It was quarter end reporting going on. So I had to request my bosses that I need this time. Month end and quarter end will come and go, but the exam is only going to happen once in a year, right? So let me attempt this. And they were quite supportive of that. So that's the first thing I did. And then I realized that I cannot go for everything to be covered before 14th of May. So it was completely unrealistic if I think about doing mock test, the full revision, going through all the question banks. So I thought, okay, let's just master what I've done so far, right? What I've done. I have done the question banks properly. Let's go through that so that I don't miss out on those things. I have gone through your videos and I've gone through the important stuff in the Schweizer notebook. Let's just revise that so that at least whatever I have done, I shouldn't be missing out on those questions, right?
Okay.
Maybe I don't have the experience of doing a full mock test, but fine. I mean, these things happen.
Okay. When you went for that exam, what happened in that 4 hours?
Okay, so I think I don't know if I told you earlier, there was in terms of the exam, I had 2 postponements. So my initial exam was May 20, which got postponed to October 20. And October 20, when I was almost there to write the exam, it got postponed to May 21. And then May 21 got preponed. So I had 2 postponements and one preponement. But what happened during these delays is that my initial 2 exams were paper-based and the last one was computer-based. So when I went in there, I was expecting a much more professional setup. But I think the centers I don't know how it's for the rest of the countries, but in Singapore, the center was quite congested. It looked like a cyber cafe to me, to be frank,
Okay.
right? A
Okay.
small cyber cafe with
Mm-hmm.
people cramped in. We were asked to wear the gloves, masks, everything. So
Okay.
mask I could do it, but I said wearing a gloves is something gonna hamper my speed. If I'm
Mm.
mm, calculating things on the calculator or writing something on the paper. So they were okay with that. They said, okay, fine. If you don't want to wear gloves, that's fine. It's for your own safety. But mask was kind of compulsory.
Mm.
And it's just that it felt a bit congested and not a very professional setup.
Okay.
Right. That was my overall feeling about the center. But
Okay.
I don't think I felt any technological glitches while doing the exam. Obviously,
Okay.
the infrastructure was a bit uneven. So the guys who was sitting next to me who had a bigger chair, I had a smaller chair.
Okay.
Somebody had a longer table, somebody had a smaller table. All
Okay.
those small factors, but that wouldn't impact your
Right.
exam.
And what
That's
when you started your question solving for that 4 hours, did you use any
Mhm.
particular strategy in terms of, okay, I'll start with first question, or I will start with 50th question? What was the strategy that you used?
So I think my initial strategy was that I thought, okay, I'm not going to score 100% marks on all the books, right? So I need to pick and choose. I have
Mm.
to make sure that I'm solving enough questions from the foundation book. I'm solving enough questions from the quants book, valuation books. So it has to be a right mix. So that was my mindset. So I started off with question number one, and I gradually started moving towards till question 20, and I realized that it
Mm.
was all pretty much theory related, right?
Okay.
So then I thought, okay, I've done enough of, let's say, theory related stuff. Let's go back to question number 100, right? And then we start doing from there
Okay.
so that at least I cover a proper mix. That's
Mm.
what I used to do. That's what I had initially thought of. But something, maybe I didn't get it properly, but when I did that, in the computer based test, if you go to 100th question and you solve that, right? And then if you go back, maybe one step back, it it takes you to the
First
21st
one.
question which you had left,
Ah,
right?
okay. Okay.
Yeah. So it was not like you from 100 to 99 and then 99 to
Mm-hmm.
98. So it used to take me to the 21st question. And then I realized that I was wasting too much time, going from 21 to 99 again or
Mm-hmm.
21 to 98 again. So it was a complete waste of time. So I realized I tried doing that, but then I said, okay, let's not experiment during the exam.
Right.
Let's just stick to what I have. So
Mm.
then I went sequentially, one one question at a time in the same sequence as it was given.
Mm-hmm.
I did realize that I was going a bit slow because in the first hour I had like 18 questions. In the second hour I had like 33 or 37 questions. So then
Mm-hmm.
I realized that okay, in the last 2 hours I'm left with 65 questions. So I have to pick up some speed. The problem
Okay.
was in the first, I think 30, 40 questions were uh, so much theory based, and there was a lot of reading to do in terms of the
Mm.
options.
Yes.
Yeah, you can easily strike out the two wrong options, but the two were so close to each other that
Mm.
you end up wasting a lot of time.
Right.
So that's what happened. But whatever strategy I had in mind, it actually went out of the roof because of that sequencing issue in the computer based test. And then I ended up doing everything in a sequential manner.
Okay. Got it. Got it. Now, you were you able to
Yeah.
complete everything in the 4 hours?
I don't think so because I think I went up till 1995 questions. As I said, I think the initial 50, 60, 70 questions were very heavily
Mm-hmm.
inclined towards theory based questions.
Okay.
And all the numericals started coming in from 70 onwards. So
Okay.
I had spent like 3 hours on, let's say, the first 70, 72 questions.
Mm-hmm.
And I was left with 1 hour and maybe 27, 28 questions, which were heavily um, numerical based
Right.
and things like binomial trees and all that stuff, which takes
Mm-hmm.
time. You
Right.
know the formula, you know everything, but
That's correct.
even while calculating every question will take 3 to 4 minutes,
Right.
right?
Right.
So
Right.
that's where there was a little bit of panic setup. But I said, okay,
Okay.
fine. Even if I'm able to, let's say, complete 20 questions in 1 hour,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm left with 10 questions, fine. It should
Okay.
not be a, it should not be a showstopper from a result
But
perspective.
out of 100, actual total 100, were you able to solve 80 properly or 70? What was that
Well,
number?
I think I would say 90. I was able to solve 90 properly, and I
And
would
the
say
rest,
10. Yeah,
the rest 10, you
10.
were able to do guess, or was it because it was very
Yes.
difficult? What happened? Primarily?
So I would say the rest 10, maybe 5 would have been very difficult, which I was not getting it. So I
Mhm.
eventually ended up guessing it.
Right.
And last 5 is something I was left with 1 or 2 minutes. So I
Mm.
thought no point, making an effort to take out your calculator and start solving it. Let's just, take an educated guess and move on. So 10
Okay.
questions were like that. In 90, I was
Okay.
able to solve it properly.
So when you completed everything, what was your thought process? How many questions you thought that it is correct from my end?
Now, when I came out of the question room, I mean, from the exam room,
Mhm.
what I thought was it was a mixed feeling, first of all, because if it's numerical questions, it's binary, either it's right or wrong,
Mm. Yes.
right? But when it comes to theory, you always feel that maybe something was missing. The
Mm.
two options were very close to each other. Maybe I didn't mark the right question. There were questions like, okay, what was the assumptions made in arbitrage price theory, model
Right.
pricing theory, right? And and you have a list of assumptions, 7 or 8 or 9 assumptions. So even if one of the assumptions you would not have read it properly, it could
Mm.
have led to an incorrect answer.
Right.
So I was kind of like 50-50. I felt that I knew those theory questions. I To the
Mm.
best of my knowledge, I have marked it properly. But things can go wrong because the other option which I had left out was also
Right.
very close.
And
Numericals, I was sure, but numericals, as I said, it was from a quality perspective. I think
mm.
it seemed very easy, and that's why I was confused. That is it really easy, or am I missing something here? Right.
Okay. Okay.
So,
Got it.
so that
And
was my feel.
were you able to see the score after the exam?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't recollect seeing the score after the exam.
Mm.
It got automatically shut down, and it said that okay, your results will be published in July.
Right.
I have known some of the guys were able to see the scores,
Yes.
but I don't remember me doing that. I was in a
Okay.
hurry to just come out of the exam center.
Okay. Okay. And one more quick question, right? So which I could not ask you at the start. When the exam has been postponed for 2 times and you moved from May 20 to next one, 2021, does this has this been able to impact your preparation for the first almost 9 months before you joined me? What was that? Was there any impact on your preparation because of that delayment that has happened?
I wouldn't say so because I think the real preparation started only I joined your course. Before that, so for example, my first when I enrolled in March, I think February 20, my first exam was May 20.
Hmm.
But I didn't even start the preparation because I knew because of the COVID situation, it's going to get
Hmm.
postponed. So I didn't
Okay.
waste that energy and effort, right? The
Okay.
second one was in October 20.
Hmm.
And I had started preparing for it, but it was more of a self-study. I was going
Hmm.
through the Bionic Turtle question banks and those kind of things. But I would I would have given myself maybe a 40% chance of passing the exam at that time, right?
Hmm.
And just before the exam, GAP sent me a mail asking that would you like to continue in October 20 or would you like to move it? And
Hmm.
I said, okay, if they they themselves have come to me asking for a postponement, then why should I miss this chance, right?
Okay.
Because I was not uh, very confident about passing the exam. So I said, okay, fine, let's move it. And then they moved it to May 20. And
Hmm.
that's when I said, okay, now God has given me third option, third attempt at this exam. So let's prepare it properly. Let's
Right.
do it in a more disciplined way. And that's when I reached out to you
Okay.
for the materials, videos, which
Perfect.
helped me immensely. Yeah.
Now, if somebody comes to you, any student who's preparing for FRM level one, what is the top three tips that you would give to that student?
That would depend on how much gift of time that student has, right?
Hmm.
If it's a working professional, um, of I would say discipline is the main thing, because working professionals, okay, they would have studied quants and financial stuff, right, in their bachelor's or master's, but the main thing that they lack is the time, or a disciplined approach towards their studies.
Right.
So for the working professional, I would say, uh, more than, I mean, more than completing the syllabus, get a proper pattern, right? Try to commit yourself that, okay, I'm going to spend 3 hours every day, um,
Mm-hmm.
right, by whatever happens. That's going to be the best strategy for the working professionals. Secondly, I would say, um, and that's something which we did together for this exam, is focus on the important stuff, right? Focus on the important stuff. Get those things out of your way in the initial part of your preparation, so that you feel confident, right?
Right.
You feel confident, and then you will feel good about going into that exam, right?
Right.
If you're leaving uh, tough chapters like valuations or all those things for the end, and
Mm.
somehow, because of
Right.
some unknown reason which are out of your control, you are not able to finish it properly, you will
Mm-hmm.
feel very underconfident going into the exam.
Right.
So that's I think I would say the second thing. And third thing I would say is, start getting used to writing things, because for me,
Mm-hmm.
the last exam I wrote was back in 2020 when I was finishing my MBA studies, right? And
Mm-hmm.
between 2010 to 2020, I hadn't solved a numerical problem in
Okay.
a paper, right? I have been working on Excels and spreadsheets
Right.
and PowerPoints, so I was completely out of touch when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to solving numericals. So that is something which I would suggest everyone to start doing that
Right.
when you're preparing for the exam. So I think these are the main three tips from my side. And if you're a non-working professional, I think you have the gift of time. You can do
As
you can do a
many
lot of stuff. Yeah,
revision, as many mock papers, and
exactly,
like, right.
exactly.
Right. And after you got the result, you cleared the exam. What has been the feedback of people who are around you? I mean, I'm specifically talking about colleagues or your seniors or your friends in the industry. What has been their feedback or how they took it?
I think uh, most of them did recognize that it was a tough exam to pass, but the journey is still not over yet until I cover
The level
the,
two.
the, the level two.
Mm.
Before that, I cannot put it in my LinkedIn profile that I'm an FRM certified
Mm-hmm.
professional, right? So, but they all congratulated me. I myself was not was very surprised at the good scores I got, because initially when I started my preparation, and I felt like I have only 1 month worth of pure time that I could devote to this study. My initial thought process was that, okay, my target is I will get good in all the books,
Right.
but eventually I ended up getting excellent in three of them, and good in one of them. So I was also quite surprised at the final result,
Okay.
right? But yeah, I mean, overall, friends, family, colleagues, they were quite, they did recognize the efforts, and wished me luck for finishing this what I started.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Wonderful.
Usually, I mean,
Wonderful.
usually when I enrolled for this exam, I didn't inform my colleagues at the start,
Okay.
because I didn't want to feel them that I'm taking leaves for an exam purpose and those kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
And that's quite normal. I mean, depending on the work culture of your organization. But I remember at the last minute when there was a preponement of the exam, I had to inform them that this is what is happening. I had to be very transparent that why am I
Right.
taking
Right.
leaves at the last minute.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
yeah,
Perfect. And so finally, wonderful. I mean, it was a great conversation with you, and definitely this discussion that we had is going to help a lot of working professional to gain that confidence, gain that understanding that even if it is like 2 months before the exam, it is not end primarily. So that
exactly.
is what I feel. This it's great learning for the audience and for the people who are going to watch this interview. And thank you very much, Abhishek. I know this is very you have a very tight schedule, and taking out time and contributing to the community, helping them out is definitely a wonderful gesture from your side, and I really appreciate that. And I wish you best of luck for the level 2. Okay. And one you will definitely get the benefit of this certification in your career, and I see a lot of great things happening to you in the future. Specifically, now you have moved to London, so definitely more. It's a financial hub, so it's going to bring in more
Yeah.
opportunities for you. Wonderful. Thank you,
No,
Abhishek.
thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much for all your support and guidance during my level 1 studies. As and when I'll enroll for level 2, we'll be in touch again.
Yes, yes, definitely, definitely. Wonderful. Okay, thank you very
Yeah.
much. Bye.
Okay. Thank you.